Guys, it's Scott here and welcome to the first episode of the Premier League review show. So hopefully you do enjoy it. If you do, leave a like rating down below and subscribe if you want to see daily content. I apologise first of all for the surroundings. This is obviously not where every episode will be recorded, but I am currently away on holiday, so had to record it here. Obviously I couldn't pre-record it because that's not possible to tell the future. So hopefully you do enjoy it once again, and any constructive criticism will be very highly appreciated in the comment section down below if I don't talk about certain things in the games that you want me to, or if there's just something you think that would improve the series. Obviously this episode and the next one I will be away on holiday for, so I can't Photoshop things in the background. It's literally just a recording of me on my phone, whereas in the future I may be able to Photoshop things in and stuff like that. So just take that into account. So we're going to start this off with the first week of the Premier League, which was pretty incredible, to be honest. Only Man City betted Leicester City's result to stop them from being top of the table after the first week, which is pretty goddamn good start for us. But let's get into all of the games and quickly go through everything that happened. So Premier League was finally back. It's been so long since it's been away, and everyone was just hyping it up so much. The Premier's back, football is finally back every Saturday. And then we got to the early game. So it was Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspur. They were the first game straight back on TV for the Prem, and it was pretty lackluster, to be honest. People were expecting, oh yeah, it's going to be 5-3, it's going to be incredible. No, it was 1-0 to Man U. They did manage to beat Spurs. So at the time it put them top of the table, which was good. But for the people watching, they weren't that enthralled. Mainly because the only goal came from Kyle Walker scoring an own goal after tackling Rooney, who for some reason decided to take a touch instead of shooting. But they will take the win either way. Eriksen did have a good chance for them very early on, after being played in by Harry Kane. So it was like a hyped up game. Will Kane be a one-season wonder? Will the Prem start off with a bang? You can't really tell, but the bang definitely didn't happen. So on to the next game. Then came even the 3 o'clock kickoff. So there were quite a few of these. We start off with Bournemouth, who were obviously new to the Premier League for the first time, I believe it is, that they've been in the Prem. Pretty goddamn cool story for them to even be in this position. And they were at home to Aston Villa, who survived the drop last season, but they did actually hold... No, they didn't. They didn't hold on to Benteke and Delph, who unfortunately went to Liverpool and Man City respectively. So they had to try and fill that void, and they've brought in quite a few new signings. So it was interesting to see, would the new signings gel well together? Would Bournemouth, who did really well in the Championship, manage to hold on to what their play style, what they were known for last season? Would it work in the Prem? Unfortunately for them, it didn't, as Villa did manage to get the win. Oh, by the way, I haven't seen like match of the day for these kind of games yet, because obviously it's not available where I was. On holiday, it's not available here, so I can't see some of the highlights. So you may hear me describe a goal, and it may sound different to what actually happened. That's why. So Justide, I think it's pronounced, came on about 60 minutes in, managed to score 13 minutes later to make Villa win 1-0. So on to the next game, we have Everton 2, Watford 2. So obviously, again, Watford, another new team this season. Everton, not the best year last year. They really started off poorly, managed to grab a few points here and there, but really just not an incredible season for them. So everyone was thinking, this year they really need to step it up and try and get back to challenging for the European places. So they did manage to get a point from this game, but for Everton's point of view, that isn't good enough against a newly promoted side who, Watford, that promoted side did go 1-0 up. I think their defender, Leon, managed to get the first goal before Ross Barkley actually did something for once and scored a goal. Ighalo for Watford, solid last season, managed to put them 2-1 up in the last 5-10 minutes or so. So it looked like they were going to nick it, but then Aruna Kone, of all people, who got the assist for Barkley's goal, did manage to score the equaliser. So a rescued point for Everton, lost important points for Watford there. Next, on to the best game of the weekend, in terms of scoreline, and also because I support them. So Leicester managed to win 4-2 against Sunderland in our opening match of the season. So very, very solid game from us. As I said, we've ended this weekend second in the Premier League table because it was such a good performance. So that's not bad. So early on, Albrighton causing trouble, whips in across. Vardy manages to flick it on, gets a goal at the back post, or flicks it onto the back post, and Pantilimon cannot save it. 1-0 very early on. Then Mahrez a few minutes later, very same situation, or similar situation. Albrighton out on the wing, whips it in. Mahrez flicks it, just getting a touch on it to take it past Pantilimon to put it 2-0 up. And then more great work from Mahrez. Loads of people are going to put him in their fantasy team, but Albrighton shouldn't be overlooked in this game. He had a very solid match. Mahrez with great work just outside the box gets taken down by Catamol just inside, and he does manage to convert the penalty. That put us 3-0 up after 25-30 minutes or so. That was the score at half-time. Then Defoe managed to pull a nice goal back. I think he was played through by Adam Johnson. Nice slotted ball. Good run by Defoe. Good finish to get a goal back. So it was panic stations for us, but luckily for us, not for the players. As Albrighton did manage to get a goal to make it 4-1. A hint of offside. It's whether they thought that Kabul was in possession and lost it to Albrighton or not. I'm not sure. I would say that it probably was offside. Then, before Sunderland did manage to pull another goal back through Fletcher to make it 4-2, Pantilimon handballs it like 5-6 yards outside the box. The referee somehow didn't see it. Very lucky boy, Pantilimon, could easily have been sent off for that. So, that was 4-2. On to the next game, Norwich, another promoted team against Crystal Palace. Will they hold on to a manager for the whole season in Pardew? We will see. But they had a solid start. Palace, Zaha and Delaney getting goals before Redmond with a decent strike for Norwich to pull one back. But then, that was at 2-1. There was an overhead kick that went in. Beautiful goal by Cameron Jerome, I believe it was. Like I said, I haven't seen all the highlights, but a great finish by him, but then the referee deemed it as a high foot, which seems really harsh to me. I mean, sometimes you'll put your head into a challenge, you'll go down and they'll say that's high foot, yet normally overhead kicks are fine. So I don't know his reason for disallowing it. He didn't kick him in the head, he just scored an overhead kick. So that was really unlucky for Norwich. And then Palace, at the end of the game, Kabayi, on his league debut, manages to put them 3-1 up. So good result for Palace there. Next we go on to the last year's champions, Chelsea against Swansea. So Swansea had a decent season last year, getting their highest ever points total. Chelsea obviously winning the league. People thought Chelsea would smash Swansea right here. I did, to be honest. Thought that we would no longer be top of the table at this point, but alas, we did stay there for a while. Oscar did manage to put Chelsea 1-0 up. Decent goal by him. And then Jordan, I think it's Jordan, the one that's gone to Swansea, or maybe it's Andre. Not sure, but AU managed to get a goal to equalise after a nice header by Gomes was palmed away by Courtois, and then Ayew with the follow-up managed to stay composed and a good finish by him. Then there was an own goal. This was really unlucky for Swansea. This was just a couple of minutes after they equalised as well. Willian goes to whipping across. Their defender gets really unlucky, deflects off him, loops over the goalkeeper, 2-1, nothing they could do about it. And then Courtois happened, okay? So Gomes, good through ball by whoever it was, I'm not sure. Gomes controls it, Courtois takes him out just outside the box. There's been a lot of controversy over whether it was actually a red card, but that is what the referee gave. So they were down to 10 men. Courtois, not the best start for him, was it? And then Gomes managed to score a couple of minutes later to equalise for the Swans, and that made it finish 2-2. So not a good result for Chelsea, decent for Swansea to start the season. So then on to Sunday's games, we go to Arsenal 0, West Ham 2. So I was on a plane whilst the Sunday games happened, and when I got off the other end I was like, what has happened here? Because I thought Arsenal looked really solid in the Community Shield and other games that they've played. So I thought that they do really well. But West Ham, like out of Europe already, clearly the manager didn't care about that. They wanted to focus on the league. As Kouyaté and Zarate got 2 goals in order to beat Arsenal. Solid performance. Apparently Payet was a very good player that game. Also, Reece Oxford, a 16-year-old, started for West Ham and apparently had Ozil in the back of his pocket. Like I said, I was on a plane, so I haven't seen the games or the highlights, unfortunately, so couldn't tell you that much else other than the scoreline and who scored. Next, on to Newcastle Southampton. Now, this finished 2-2, which was also a surprise to me. Thought Southampton would do really well. I was wrong. Pella did still score though, solid player for them. He was good last season, faded off a bit, but started this season with a goal. And then, unfortunately for Southampton, Newcastle managed to pick up 2 goals. So Cisse scores 1, has a really good record in terms of goals per minute, one of the highest ratios there is in the league. But for their new signing, Wijnaldum from PSV managed to put them 2-1 up with a header. But then Southampton did manage to pull a goal back to make it 2-2, and unfortunately for Newcastle, they lost out on the 3 points as it did finish as a draw. Now, on to the last game of Sunday. We move on to Stoke v Liverpool. So obviously, a lot of people will remember the 6-1 from the last game of last season, but Liverpool had to come back fighting, and they did manage to win this game 1-0. New signing Benteke starting up front, as well as Klein. Firmino played as well, but none of them really were the focus of this game. It was Coutinho's 25-yard, 30-yard goal in the 80-something minute, which managed to win Liverpool the game that was the talking point of that match. So, not a bad start by Liverpool. Now, West Bromwich Albion versus Manchester City was the last game of this game week. It was the Monday Night Football game. At this point, Leicester were still top of the table, but unfortunately, because of this result, we are no longer in that position, as Manchester City managed to win 3-0, 2 goals by Yaya. The first one, debatable whether it clipped David Silva or not, but a decent strike by Yaya. And then his second goal was beautiful. Nice little finesse laid off after a 1-2 with Bonny, who started up front. Aguero did come on later, but wasn't fully fit to start the game. Should be back in by next week. Before David Silva whipped in a corner, and Company managed to make that third goal and finish West Brom off. They had a decent amount of chances, West Brom, but a lot of them were just long shots where they shouldn't have shot. It was poor, really. So that is every single result of this weekend. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. I'm going to end it by showing you the league table. So obviously in other videos I could Photoshop this in, but for now I'm just going to do it like this. So this is the league table. As you can see, Manchester City topping it off, with Leicester, Crystal Palace and West Ham occupying the Champions League places, with Arsenal in 19th place. Who would have thought that at the start of the season? So that's going to be it from me. Like I said, leave any constructive criticism in the comment section down below. Leave a like if you did enjoy it, and hopefully it's going to be a good series. There will be a preview of the Premier League games coming on Friday, which will be in a similar vein, but I'll predict what's going to happen in the games, not discuss what happens. So hopefully you do enjoy that as well, but thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.